back to my channel. My name is Hannah Grace and this is Hannah Grace Studios. Just want to thank you for, first of all, being here, for clicking on this video and choosing to spend this wonderful time with me. I'm eternally grateful for you and so happy you're here. On my channel, I kind of talk about all things wellness, creative, self-compassion, self-care, recently keto stuff, and all that jazz. So I also make vlogs every other week. I am now uploading every Sunday. So if you like this video and you want to follow along, make sure to hit subscribe. We are so close to 100 subscribers. And when I truly say, like, I never thought I would have 100 subscribers. I never thought I'd have 50, and we surpassed that goal. I never thought people would actually care about what I had to say or want to follow along in my journey. So I'm just truly grateful for every single one of you, and just so happy to have you here. And if you're here now, you're one of the OGs. So just always remember that. But today I have a video where I want to talk about 5 things that you could do at home to manage your mental health. And this is, like, these tips are probably just things that, like, you've heard before, or, you know, you, like, these things, they're not revolutionary, but I'm going to break them down in a really practical way to give them sort of a real life application, because I find a lot of the, like, wellness tips we can hear on the internet, or, you know, tips for managing our mental health that we hear on social media, they're very, you know, one-dimensional. Like, you should exercise more. Okay, but if I'm in a deep depression, I'm not going to be able to peel myself out of bed, let alone go to the gym. So we're going to talk about really practical ways of things that you can do at home with what you already have, that you don't need to go out and get anything or anything like that. Things you can concretely do when you need some kind of mental health first aid sort of thing. And not necessarily in a crisis by any means. If you're in a crisis, you should definitely reach out for help. Because we can't do this alone. You know, I've had some pretty intense experiences of mental health crisis of my own. I've had 3 psychotic episodes, or 3 psychoses, and I have a diagnosis of schizoaffective disorder. And so I'm very well versed in recovery. I'm very well versed in crisis. I also worked for a long time in the mental health field. And so, yeah, I'm no stranger to it. But if you are in crisis, make sure to go get help. And even if that means just reaching out to a friend or a family member that you can trust, that is a huge step forward, and probably one of the most critical steps you can make for yourself if you're in crisis. Yeah, but these tips are more of, like, just ongoing managing mental health on an everyday basis, things we can do concretely to help us just take better care of ourselves. So yeah, this is keep watching if that's what you're into. Okay, so I'm just gonna get right into it. So number 1, and I think this is something that, you know, we all know, and I, myself included, I can do so much better at this, is just managing your social media and screen time. Like, okay, don't get me wrong, I'm not telling you to, like, get off your phone completely. I'm not telling you to delete Instagram or anything like that. What I am saying is that social media has this very, you know, I want to use the word intrusive, because it has this very intrusive way of, like, getting us, or sort of facilitating us to compare ourselves to others. And when we're in our comparison state, it just robs us of our own joy and of our own gratitude. And, you know, it encourages us to forget how the realities of the good things in our lives, because, you know, but I want to say, like, if you are in your home, you're comfortable, you are in a safe space, even if that's, or you have a space of your own, even if, like, maybe it's a shared space and the whole shared space might not be a safe space, but your room is a safe space. You know, those are all beautiful things to have. I mean, we can all be grateful for anything in our lives, really. It doesn't take having, you know, like a yacht or $1,000,000 or whatever to truly be appreciative for what you have in your life. Like for me, I'm looking around my apartment and I'm just so grateful. We have this amazing, comfortable couch that me and my partner just absolutely melt into every night. And I'm so grateful for this couch because it helps me to feel safe and secure and comfortable and at ease and at rest. And it's not even my couch, it's my landlord's couch. But I'm so grateful that I get to utilize this couch. And you know, if I am spending too much time on social media, or maybe I'm looking at other couches online or whatever, you know, it's like it robs you of the joy of what you already have. And I mean, I'm not going to go into all the reasons why social media is, you know, not great for our brains, apart from like, because there's a million reasons. But a really good book, there's lots of good books, but one good book that I read that kind of touches on it is The Myth of Normal by Gabor Mate. He just talks about how, especially for like young people, how social media and spending too much time online can really actually impact your brain functioning. And yeah, and it kind of exacerbates depression, anxiety. But what's the thing we all do when, you know, like I know for myself, like when I truly want to decompress, like I will either put on music and I will just like doom scroll because my brain just does not want to think of anything. It doesn't want to be mindful. It just needs some like low key time. So instead of just doom scrolling, sometimes, and lately what I've been doing is I'm just putting my phone like far away from me, so out of arm's reach, and I'll put on do not disturb. And instead of putting on like scrolling with my eyeballs, I will put on like I have this playlist that I like that's like healing frequencies because I'm a little woo woo, but I really like listening to these with headphones on, and I put out like a blackout mask, and it's almost just like a way to like decompress and to have something stimulating my brain without needing to consume content, and just giving my eyeballs a break from absorbing. Like sometimes I just need like a physical detachment, which is why I like a blackout mask, just because it darkens everything. But yeah, and like I've heard also that some people when they want time away from their phone, you know, you can use it as an opportunity to do like a creative hobby, because creative hobbies, like a physical tactile like craft or hobbying that you're doing, it gets you like, it keeps your hands busy. So you're not like, you know, reaching for your phone because you're involved in a physical activity. And I know like sometimes like it's like the default, you know, it's like I have nothing to do or I'm trying to procrastinate, so I'm just gonna scroll, which has its time and place, and I think that social media is not all bad, but like there's a lot of merit to it, and obviously I'm, you know, trying my hand at becoming a content creator. I just know for myself that sometimes when you know, I'm having a rough day or I'm feeling low or maybe overwhelmed, that being on social media and just like in consuming content is a distraction, and it's not actually helpful. It's actually potentially harmful. So yeah. And I've also heard that people like will sometimes, when they're trying to have better boundaries with their phone, will like treat it as like a landline. So like you have your phone in a particular area of your room, maybe it's like plugged in at your bedside, and you're just taking a break from it and kind of trying to create space between yourself and your phone. And so just like being like in your living room without your phone and doing other things, you know, I think it's like, to me, it's wild that we're just so attached to our devices, because I grew up in a time where, you know, like if you were meeting your friend for like at the park or something, you were calling them on a landline and you were like saying, okay, like I'm gonna meet you here at this time, and they're like, yep, I'll see you there, and you like hang up the phone, and you just have to like trust that they were gonna show up. And like when you're like at home alone, like if you were bored, you had to like create your own fun. It wasn't like you could just like pick up a device and be entertained for hours on end, like to kind of compensate for that boredom. You know, we had to like create our own fun, and our imaginations were sort of wild. And you know, I was a kid, right, so I used to play with toys and things, but I loved doing like crafts, and I truly think that, like, I mentioned this in a previous video, but sometimes when I really need to decompress, like, I will, like I said, put on like some music or something and put my eye mask on and my headphones on, and I'll just like lay there and just like observe my thoughts. And I know that probably sounds like a really hard thing for a lot of people to sit there with their thoughts, but I find truly when we begin to take on this perspective of a witness, like, that's how I learned how to befriend myself and stop running from myself, stop hurting myself, was to just be kind of present with my experience and with my thoughts and just see what's going on up there, you know, and not having to cling to any of them or, you know, judge them or anything like that, but just be an observer. So anyway, that's a really long-winded answer. I've just talked for 13 freaking minutes, but yeah, so yeah, just if you're like, you know, having a down day or a tough mental health day, or you're overwhelmed or you're anxious or whatever, more screen time is not going to solve your problem. So I just, you know, would suggest trying to take a break. And even if that's like going to take a shower or something, or a bath, and just leaving your phone, like, way works for you is what's going to work best for you. And, you know, whatever way it is, you know, whatever you can think of is probably what's going to be what's best for you. So anyway, yeah, that's just my first tip. Yeah. Tip number 2. So again, this is another one that, like, you know, is commonly known, but, so tip number 2 is incorporating physical activity into your daily routine. And, truly, I have seen profound effects of this, like, in the past 6 weeks for myself. I have had a very convoluted relationship with exercise in my lifetime. When I was young and a teenager, I had an eating disorder. I, you know, exercised too much and burnt myself out because I was just trying to shrink myself. I don't have that perspective anymore. And in the past month and a half, I've been not even exercising every day. I exercise 3 times a week, which reminds me I need to work out today. But yeah, I go to the gym once, I do a workout at home once, and I go to the pool once. And having variety for me, I've been learning, is key to keeping me consistent, because I find when I'm like trying to shove myself into a box and do the same regimented thing all the time, like, to me, I just lose interest and it doesn't feel enjoyable anymore. So having this variety has really helped. But what I will say is that it has done wonders for my mood. It has done wonders for my mood and also for my capacity. Like, prior, you know, I felt like I had a really narrow window of capacity, and, you know, I would just get really burnt out really quick and didn't have a lot of energy or emotional capacity for, like, little everyday things, you know, like, even like being able to, like, sometimes, like, do the dishes or take out the trash, things like that. And I found that being able to have certain days of the week where I do movement is like this Wednesday, for example, I wasn't, like, hesitant to go to the gym. I was looking forward to it, actually, because I was having a rough day and I just needed to get that physical energy out. And that's what exercise does. It's similar to art in the sense that when you're feeling an emotion, it's stored in your body. And when you leave it there and you don't do anything with that energy or that emotion, and you stuff it down, it just becomes like, it just becomes like a bottle that you're just continually pouring liquid into, and it only has so much room, so it's gonna overflow. And yeah, when you take the cap off and like pour a little bit out, whether that's like through creative exercise or through physical exercise, you're allowing your body to process that emotion and get released from your body. Yeah, so I mean, like, and the thing is like, I know when we think like, you know, we have to incorporate exercise into our routines, like we all know this, like this has been like beat into our heads since, like, at least for me, the dawn of my birth. I think it doesn't have to look any particular way. You don't necessarily have to be like, going to the gym is how I work out, and if I don't go to the gym, then I'm a failure, because that's not true. Movement looks absolutely different for everyone, and walking to the corner store is just as good as, you know, anything, you know. It's about like getting your body out of a stagnant position and letting the flow come, you know. When I was like, for a long time I struggled with getting out of the house, and but I still really wanted to exercise, and so I would just search up these 15-minute walking workouts on YouTube. There's tons of them, and basically they're just like walking workouts where you just walk in one position, or like maybe just around your space, like your home, and there's different like arm movements, and sometimes you walk forward and sometimes you walk backwards, but there's literally ones where you can walk 10,000 steps. And I'm not saying that you have to do that, because there's also, like, I usually do like a 15-minute one, and yeah, it doesn't have to be complicated. And my best suggestion would be like, keep it simple. So whatever feels most manageable to you, start with that. So if it's like, you know, if you're depressed and you're on the couch and you're like feeling all this guilt and anxiety about needing to move, sometimes just doing that, like a set of like 5 jumping jacks, like, and just like Mel Robbins at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm up, I'm doing 5 jumping jacks, and then that's done, and I'm gonna let myself let go. Like, even that can be so revolutionary. And the thing is from those small steps, you can gradually build. So like, okay, so maybe it's like, today I need to pull myself out of bed. I'm gonna, you know, go outside and walk to the end of the block and back. Or when I was having a hard time getting outside, like literally I had an occupational therapist who was like, I just need you to get to the end of the driveway, and that's good enough. And then you can come back in, and that's your goal for the day. And that's good. And so that's what I did. Like, some days I couldn't even get past the front door. Like, sometimes I would just like go upstairs, and that was one, and then I'd go outside, and then that was one, and then I'd go to the end of the deck, and that was one, and then finally I made it to the end of the driveway, and soon I made it to the end of the block, and then after that I started going for 15-minute walks, and now I'm going to the gym, you know. So all that to say, like, again, with social media, like, don't compare yourself to what you see online. You know, use it as inspiration or a guide, but you are the expert of your own experience, okay? And if something feels unmanageable or too high or too lofty of a goal, you're probably not going to do it, no matter how ambitious you are, because you just don't feel capable. But yeah, so start small. Like, literally, I know sometimes saying things like doing a small step feels kind of arbitrary or insignificant, but really those little steps, you're confirming to yourself that you can and you are capable. And so every little step that you build upon, you're showing yourself, okay, I did that. Okay, I think I can do this. Okay, I think I could try this now. Okay, I think I could try this now. And gradually over time, you know, you can get to a point where maybe you do accomplish those ambitious goals that you have because you started gradually. And it's not about, like, I know that like diet culture really has the reins on exercise, but it's like, for me, yes, it's good for my physical health, but it also is like a huge factor in mental health. So yeah. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3 is understanding and setting personal boundaries. Now I know this is a hard one. But yeah, so when we are chronic people pleasers, and I'm saying this from experience because I was such a people pleaser. Oh my God. Like, I couldn't let anyone around me do anything for themselves because I needed to feel helpful and needed to feel like I was contributing. So I would just do everything for everyone in my life. And then what that does is a couple things. But what that does is it takes away responsibility from other people where they should have responsibility, and where they need to be learning responsibility. And it puts more stress on you. It puts more resentment on you, or it put more resentment on me. And I was just like, I grew to a point where I was like, eventually it drove me to like, an episode really, because I couldn't ask for help, and I was just going around doing everything for everyone, even though I was in a state that was like nearly a crisis state. Yeah. So what does setting boundaries look like? You know, my therapist likes to tell me that, or she has taught me rather, that when we are going about our life, usually when we're presented with an opportunity or question, we innately get a yes feeling or a no feeling. And so, you know, I've been paying attention to these more, and you'll sense it when you're out in your everyday life. If someone asks you, hey, do you want to go for ice cream? Could be like a totally random, simple thing. But if you are receiving this question and you get like a hesitant and a no feeling, that's okay. You don't have to say yes just because it seems like the thing that you're supposed to do. If you're getting that no feeling and you say yes anyway, you're actually denying your needs. And when you deny your needs, it can, oh my God, dude, it can lead to like just a whole existential crisis. Because like as human beings, we all have needs. Like from the second we are born, we have unwavering needs. And as we grow older, those needs don't go away. We still have very concrete needs. We need to eat. We need to sleep. We need to drink water. We need to move. We need to be sheltered. You know, we need to be warm. We need to, but not too warm, you know, like, and we also have like, you know, like other psychological needs. We have, you know, if you ever looked at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you know, there's like it's like a whole thing. And when you have a need that isn't being met and you are not honoring that need, you're denying yourself, and that often leads to pain and suffering. So how do we practice setting boundaries? The quickest way to set a boundary is just to get comfortable with saying no. And just not feeling bad about it. Just like if, especially like my girls, gays, and theys, like if we could just get used to saying no when we truly sense that no feeling, I think we would all, and I know even myself, I could work on this, we could all just benefit ourselves. Because yeah, like I know sometimes saying no is hard because, you know, we don't want to have the repercussions of, you know, what saying no will mean, or we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, or, you know, but truly, like, saying no is not a personal thing. It's setting a boundary, and you are not here to fulfill the obligations of other people. You are here to live your life and have your life experience, make your own choices, and enjoy this wild experience that is life. Yeah, I know you can set boundaries. I know you can. And when I love this quote so much, but when you say no to something else, you're often saying yes to something within yourself. So just remember that. The fourth thing I'm going to say is, this is a tangible thing that you can do at home for your mental health, is practicing mindfulness and meditation. I know this is another thing we've all heard 100 times. But yeah, what I'll say about this, because meditation has profoundly changed my life. I wouldn't be who I am without my meditation practice. But it really just starts with what I said earlier about, you know, just witnessing what's in your experiencing, witnessing what's in your mind, witnessing what's in your body, paying attention to what's in your experience, noticing. Like, that's what meditation is. It's noticing. So, you know, if practicing, like, even doing a guided meditation feels too much for you, too overwhelming, I would even just start with like taking like a minute, just try a minute, put a timer on and sit in your own space or like in a park or somewhere you feel safe and just look around, see what you notice. Like, I'm looking around my apartment right now and I notice we have string lights and I turn them on and, you know, the sunlight is coming in through the window and, you know, there's a wrinkle in a blanket on the couch and, you know, the rose in the vase is turning the opposite way to me. And all these little noticings really help us be present in the moment and take us out of our heads. And actually, this is like an anxiety tool. Like, when you are feeling overwhelmed with anxiety, one of the things, and this is like a really commonly used technique, but is to name like 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can smell, 2 things you can taste, and 1 thing you can touch, or whatever order you'd like to do that. And because it literally gets you out of your spiraling brain space and into the present room, into the present reality of this shared experience. And so if meditation feels overwhelming to you, it's okay. It felt overwhelming to me when I first started too. If you open yourself up to the concept of meditation and gradually begin to notice about what's going on within you and around you, I promise you, it will lead to just a whole different experience and maybe even a more pleasant one. I also have like a really interesting story about how I first got introduced to mindfulness, and let me know if you want to hear it because I love telling the story. My 5th tip is just, this kind of goes along with the social media stuff, but just being aware of your environment, because when I was studying addiction and working in addiction, I did a lot of research around like, you know, what helps. And I've also struggled with my own addictions in my life when I was younger. And the number one thing that I've learned that is beneficial for not only addiction, but also mental health when you are struggling and need change is your environment. So even like, I remember hearing once that there was a study of students who literally just like put a sticky note on their wall that said like, desk, this is my workspace. And just having like a confined workspace that was designated for work, it made them more productive. It made them more productive just having like a designated space in their environment that they did work in. And another thing is for people with addictions, you know, a lot of times people will go away to treatment and then they'll go back to their like hometown or their home environment where maybe like they had, you know, paraphernalia or they had different triggers that reminded them of their addiction. Well, a lot of times people would relapse because of that, because of those things in their environment. And so sometimes like I've even heard it recommended that, you know, if you're going to treatment, it's better to actually go back to a different space than returning to your home environment where you previously, you know, did what you did. And it's, honestly, I find there's a lot of parallels with mental health as well. Like, for me, if my space is, you know, if I'm not happy with my space, or maybe it's a little cluttered, or I have some dishes to do, or something like that, you know, or maybe there's like, you know, a picture that I've been just dying to hang on the wall or something. Those things really, like, your environment really contributes to how you're feeling overall. And I know, like, we've heard it a million times before that your environment is an indicator of your mind space, and it truly is. So what can you do if you're feeling overwhelmed in your space? Sometimes just having a little bit of novelty, a little bit of newness is good. And that doesn't mean, like, necessarily going out and having to buy anything, but, like, maybe, like, crack open your crayons and, like, do some, like, simple doodle sketch and, like, hang it on your wall, or write yourself an affirmation that on a piece of paper that that you can stick up. Or maybe it's about, like, literally putting on a timer for 5 minutes and just doing a quick tidy. Or maybe it's for asking for help to actually clean up your space if you're struggling with that. Maybe it's about, like, decluttering and getting rid of some things. Like, we have some crap in our closets that I, like, have been meaning to clean out. And maybe it's just about setting some time aside for that to mentally and physically unload the clutter, because when we have too many things piling up, it really does impact our stress levels. And, like, if you go to work and you come home to an environment that doesn't feel at ease, that doesn't feel like a safe space because of the state it's in, that's going to impede on your mental health. You don't necessarily have to do a whole big overhaul, but kind of like in the example with the exercise, any little thing helps. And sometimes you have to start really, really small to achieve those, big goals. And so, like, one thing that I do every day is when I get home from work, because usually I don't have time in the morning to clean, but usually when I get home from working, I'll come home and I'll do, like, a quick 10-minute tidy and, like, I change my clothes pretty much as soon as I get home. But if I have to do any big tidying, like taking out garbage or laundry or dealing with any gross stuff or whatever, like trash, then I will literally clean before I even sit down or change, because once I'm changed, then it's chill time. So yeah, just, anything you can do in your environment to make you feel better about your space. And this isn't anything, like, I'm not saying you have to have an aesthetic space. Like, our place is not very aesthetic, and I love our place. Like, is there things that I would love to change about this place? Absolutely. But I don't need the foundations of my place to change. I just need to make it feel more like my space and more like a comfortable space that I can have ease and relaxation in. Yeah. And this is just, I'm going to give one more tip, and it's just a little bonus tip, and then I'm going to close off this video. But my bonus tip is, just to remember, like, and really acknowledge within yourself how hard you have been trying and how much you do care and how much effort you do put in. Because, I remember, like, being in the depths of my depression and just feeling really guilty and really, like, down on myself, and then I was, like, worthless and all these different terrible things that our brain literally lies to us about, okay? And I just want to remind you that if you woke up this morning, if you literally had a glass of water, or maybe you didn't have water, had something to drink, if you put some food in your body, if you got dressed, if you went to work, if you took care of your family, or you took care of your pet, like, or you read a book, or, you cleaned your space, or if you, and actually, you don't even need to do anything, okay, to truly acknowledge how far you've come. Because I know that every human being on this planet has overcome something, and overcome something, probably multiple things, in, like, a massive way. There's things that you don't talk about to anyone that you have overcome and that you're still working through. And I want to say that having self-compassion and just acknowledging to yourself and seeing your own strengths and saying, like, hey, like, I went through many hard things and I'm still working through those things, and that's okay. That can get you quite far. I used to be really hard on myself, and I used to feel really terrible about myself for things that I did when I was mentally unwell, and that might have hurt people or impacted the people around me. And I was not my best self, and I wasn't proud of who I was being then. But I've come a long way, and I've put a lot of effort into just becoming the person I am today, really. And, you know, I know we're all kind of, like, life is just this, like, growth journey. That's really what it is. And, yeah, I mean, I just want to encourage you that, you know, if you're feeling low and bad about yourself, as, you know, low mental health sometimes leads us to believe, just give yourself some credit for all that you have done. Because, like, you know, this is a one-way conversation because, you know, I'm just talking to you in my camera. But I don't need to know all the things you've been through to know that you've come very far, and to know that you try every day to do your very best just to survive. And I'm proud of you for doing that. And I hope you could be proud of yourself too. Yeah. That's all I have to say right now. But I love you. And, you know, if you watch this video, I can also say, if you watch this video, I know if you searched for this video, I know that you are trying to do your best to grow and to develop and change. And I think that's truly beautiful, because it all starts with a little spark, you know? So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up here. I've been talking for like 40 minutes. I just want to say I love you. I care about you. You're a rock star. I know you're going to get through what you're going through. And thank you for being here. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you liked and want to see more. And yeah, you're a rock star. I love you. Okay, bye.